Good afternoon. We'll go ahead and get started. On behalf of Disha USA, we would like to welcome everybody to the Fort Bend ISD Board of Trustees 3 and 7 candidate vote. My name is Vinod Kishore and I represent Disha USA. Disha USA, for those that are not aware, is a non-profit, non-partisan organization, faith-based organization. So we do not endorse any candidates, giving all the candidates the opportunity to tell us about their views. And today, amongst us, we have two accomplished moderators, Disha Doshi, who is a college counselor, drawing on 8 years of experience, guiding high school students towards their academic dreams. Beyond experience, expertise in college planning, Jigisha is also is a professional certified executive and a life coach. For the past 15 years, she is volunteered as a coach for Destination Imagination, leading FBISD teams to global finance for 9 consecutive years and consistently achieving top 10 placements. A deeply invested Fort Bend ISD community member, Jigisha is the parent of 2 FBISD students and has actively served on multiple committees and PPO boards. And with her is Dr. Nick Nickam, a practicing cardiologist who has been a Fort Bend resident for more than 42 years. All his children attended Fort Bend schools. He is also a radio and internet TV talk show host. His NNN Internet YouTube Media has more than 31,000 subscribers and more than 8 million views. He has also authored 7 books. His hobbies include photography, writing articles about national policies. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to begin with the formal presentation before we get into the actual debate. For the benefit of those listeners who are here and also for the benefit of listeners who will be following this on the Facebook and on social media, we want to give you an overview of the Fort Bend Independent School District, which is headquartered in Sugar Land, Texas. This is the 6th largest school district in Texas, comprising of 80,000 students across 83 campuses spread all across the Fort Bend County. There are 12 high schools, 15 middle schools, 51 elementary schools, and 5 specialty schools. The Fort Bend ISD employs more than 11,000 people. It spans over 170 square miles of Fort Bend County, and it is one of the most diversified counties in the country, with students speaking 100 different languages. So we are delighted. I am Dr. Nikam. Along with me, we have Jigisha Doshi. We are going to be opening up with the debate part. There are going to be 2 different parts. Before we get into that, we would like to introduce the names of the candidates, starting from our left here. Afshi Charania. Hello. Hello. Next to her is Rick Garcia. Next to Rick Garcia is Angie Collins. If I don't pronounce her name, please let me know. Angela Collins. Next to her is Angie Wilovsky. How do you say it?
What trying to do?
We are listening. We are speaking. Okay. Next to her is Alison Drew, and final person there is Cheryl Buford. Is that right? Did we get all your names correctly? Okay, that's very good. And before we go into any further discussion, I would like to turn over to Jigisha Shah, who is going to give you some introduction about the debate format.
Good afternoon, everyone. So first we'll start with introductions.
And what I want you guys, you all will have 1 minute to give your introduction. We'll start from left to right from the audience. And what I want like you to do, answer in your introduction is briefly introduce yourself, which should include what is your affiliation with Fort Bend ISD and why are you running for the School Board of Trustees for Fort Bend ISD? And we will start with Afsharanya first.
Just a quick note, I'll give you, I'll ring the bell when you're 1 minute in.
At a minute?
Yeah, at a minute.
One. Okay. Do I stand up and do it? Or do you want to? Oh, however you're comfortable.
Hi, my name is Afshin Sharanya. I've been in the district for ISD for 35 years. I attend the local high school Clements, right on the street over here, and I just funded for ISD schools. I have an undergraduate from the University of Texas at Austin and a master's in business from the University of Houston with our school. Professionally, I've been in small business. I've been a small business owner since the age of 20, and I've been in business for nearly 30 years, so now you know my age. I have been recognized by numerous organizations, but the recognitions that are close and near and dear to me are the ones for the West Chamber of Commerce for the Young Entrepreneur Award, which I received at the age of 25. And I've also been the recipient of the United States SBA Houston Entrepreneurship Success Award. I've worked in the oil and gas space since the age of 20. When I graduated from UT, I've walked in spaces that were not very welcoming to someone who was 20 years old or looked a lot younger, a female, a minority. But I've made my space, and not only have I made my space in those, in those environments, but I've also made my mark and I'm successful in what I do. Since the age of 20, I've been volunteering in Fort Bend ISD in the county nearing 35 years now. I started Fort Bend ISD Facilities Committee, the Fort Bend ISD Academic Advisory Committee, and an active partner with the Fort Bend ISD Collaborative Committees Interfaith Group since 2016. I was blessed to have the opportunity to initiate the 813, their largest Sharia holiday food drive in the Greater Houston area, which happens to be in Sugar Land. And this was in support of FBISD students in need through the FBISD Collaborative Committees, Shared Dreams Program, and the East Fort Bend Human Needs Ministry. This I've done for over 8 years now. Some of the organizations
I'd like to, we are leaving introductions to 1 minute.
Okay, sorry. Okay. Why am I running? I'm running because we need a change on the board. We continue to have schools that are over capacity and under capacity. And the board did not review its long range planner and did not bring anyone on the board until last year. In that interim, we continue to have schools that are underutilized and have overhead operational costs. At the same time, we continue to put forward proposals for new schools. So with the school vouchers imminent to pass in the state, we are faced with rising tide of challenges that need to be met head on. I volunteered in the Fort Bend ISD community for 25 years, and I know and understand the needs of this district. We need leadership that can make hard decisions, because what we have been doing is not working. We need a board that is going to work together. My name is Afshin Sharanya, and I'm running for Fort Bend ISD position. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before you proceed, could we all stick to the time, because it's very important so that everybody gets the equal chance and we get to hear them. And once you hear the bell, the time is up. Please stop. You get plenty of chances to.
1 minute? Yeah, 1 minute.
Yeah, he's going to give it time, and we'll give you plenty of chances to express yourself because we have lots of questions actually. Okay, go ahead, please. Now this is Big Garcia.
So my name is Rick Garcia. I'm currently on the school board for Fort Bend ISD, going on year 3, looking for re-election. I'm the current board vice president. I was voted on as board vice president 7-0, so the support of all my colleagues. I've been working very hard the last 3 years. Definitely a difficult job. I've been active and involved in Fort Bend ISD since my son, who's now a senior, was in kindergarten. I've been there every step of the way, walking him in first day of school, every day, up and through 5th grade. Couldn't do it in middle school, but let me. So I'm on the PTO, the vice president of the PTO, I was on the dad's club, and on committees at the campus level. I started getting on committees at the district level. I got involved for years, obviously. I've been in Fort Bend ISD going on 30 years. I'm on the field, still in HOA. I'm still on the HOA. I started the neighborhood watch there. I was on the MUD for 7 years, been very active in my community. Safety and security is real near and dear to my heart. Some of the things that we've been doing the last 3 years, we just hired a brand new superintendent. He's doing an amazing job, and I'm running because we have leadership, stable leadership, and I want to keep Fort Bend ISD strong. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Hello. My name is Angela Collins. I am married, I have 3 children and 4 grandchildren. I have 20 years of experience in finance as well as contracts and policy in the oil and gas industry. I am deeply committed to public education. I grew up in Fort Bend. I went to elementary through high school in Fort Bend. I have been an active volunteer in the district, serving on several committees, and as a surrogate parent for over a dozen children in foster care, advocating for their special education needs. I was also invited to serve on a hiring panel or a principal at one of the district schools. Additionally, I served on PTO for between 7 and 8 years, I don't remember, in which that time I was president for 3 years.
Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Angie, and I am running for position 7. I'm number 1 on the ballot. I'm gonna actually approach my intro a little differently since that I have been doing because you asked for our affiliation with Fort Bend ISD. My affiliation with Fort Bend ISD is that I've lived in Fort Bend ISD for 15 years. I have 2 children who have been in Fort Bend ISD school since 2019. They started in pre-K and kindergarten. They're currently in 4th and 5th grade at Pell Valley Elementary. Not only was I on the Pell Valley Elementary PTO board for 5 years and currently still a volunteer this first year not being on the board, I've been involved in Fort Bend ISD by attending meetings and advocating for different issues and encouraging other parents to attend meetings and get involved and learn about what's going on. And as well as serving on a couple different committees within Fort Bend ISD as well. Why I'm running is because I want to strengthen our schools, which strengthens our community. We have a public traditional ISD school district that we need to make sure our public schools are strengthened. And I am happy to have your vote on May 3rd. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You turn it on?
It is on.
Awesome.
Apologies that I'm not gonna stand, just a little bit older and it's closer to my notes. Hi, I'm Allison Drew, and if my name sounds a bit familiar, it's because I'm a former board member. When I served on the board before, I was selected for a leadership TASB at the state level. I also, in the community, in terms of answering this question, what I do is I sit on a board for underprivileged children. I work really hard as a volunteer at Reading Buddy, basically because I believe that every child deserves a strong education. Beyond my work in education, or what I do in Fort Bend ISD, I guess, my day job is that I'm an enterprise data architect. And that's just a fancy way of saying that I take complex systems, I put them together, I solve problems, and I have them communicate. Also along those lines, when I'm not doing that, I'm a psychiatric nurse. So that also means that I can have some really difficult conversations in a respectful manner. And I think that our board could grow. That sounds like a microwave.
Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cheryl Buford. I am delighted to be here and am glad that you're taking time out of this sunny afternoon, this beautiful day to be with us as well. I have dedicated my life to educating the next generation in the classroom as a education policy professional, as an advocate, and as a tutor. Within Fort Bend ISD, I tutor at one of the lowest performing elementary schools, Blue Ridge Briargate, and also was involved with the recent MOU, which will, in all likelihood, be a game changer for the Willow Ridge feeder pattern. But like many of you that are here and part of the Disha community, I bring expertise from outside of Fort Bend as well. Namely, the decade-long advocacy I did for Thomas Jefferson High School of Science and Technology. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your introductions, everyone. We have great questions that we're going to be moderating today. And the way the Q&A format is going to work, I'm just going to give you a brief overview. The moderators will start asking questions, starting from left to right. So the first section, we will ask from left to right, and then it will go to the next person. So we have 6 different categories that we are going to be asking questions on. So we'll start with, the first category will be with the first person, the second category will be with the second person, and so on. So it'll go from left to right in the audience. We will ask the questions from the list. The moderators will ask, and there are some questions given to us by the audience as well. And mostly we're going to ask one question to each individual. But if there is a follow-up that you want to do, you may have 30 seconds and you raise your hand and you can do a follow-up to the question. Okay?
How long do we have to answer that?
Okay, I'm coming to that. Okay, thank you very much. And before we get started on the formal debate and questions, we would like to recognize the 2 Fort Bend ISD trustee members, Sonia Jones, please. And thank you so much. Angie Cannon. She just stepped out. So we don't have to stop back. The format of this, the main question and answer session, as Disha Joshi said, is going to be, we're going to be talking about 6 different topics, namely budget, teachers, students, school safety, parents, and mental health. These are all the issues that is in everybody's mind, whether you are a student, parent, or an advocate, or a state representative in any capacity. So we're going to be focusing on these things, and we will be asking a different question to each candidate. The question and answer will be comprising of 2 minutes. So the timer will start with a question, when we start with a question, and then we go from left to right. Any questions you all have before we get started? Yes, please.
What's the time for the initial answer?
You get to, start with a question, 2 minutes, 2 minutes.
Including the question.
Including the questions. Yeah,
And then
the
we-
questions will be, please.
Yeah, and I'll give you a 30-second heads up. So, or like when you have 30 seconds left, I'll ring the bell. And then when the 2 minutes is over, I'll also, so you'll hear 2 bells for the answer.
Okay, we would like to recognize Angie Cannon as one of the Fort Bend ISD trustees. Welcome you. Thank you so much for joining us. So we are going to begin with the formal questions and answers. The first topic is going to be on budget. Fort Bend ISD has an $825 million budget. That's twice the amount compared to the Sugarland city budget. That's an enormous amount of money, and yet Fort Bend ISD has been running or falling short on its commitments in the past few years. So we would like to start off with Afshi Charanya. How would you prioritize? How would you prioritize in the face of budget constraints? What specific areas of the district budget would you focus on reducing or increasing without negatively impacting the school programs or the student base?
Sure. So here's a reality of it all. The state underfunds us, right? So in every year, by law, we are required to balance our budget. So when we're underfunded and we don't have enough money, the only choice we have is to start cutting programs, whether it's other faculty, other needs within the district, that's what happens, right? I'm running because when I went to school here, we had 4 high schools, Willow Ridge, Kempner, Clemens, and Dulles. Now we'll fast forward 35 years, we're at 12 high schools, we're blessed, right? But with that has come challenges as well. So we've grown as a district, but we also continue to have schools that are under capacity, and then their schools are over capacity. So there's a need to actually do the hard thing, which is going to be to think about rebalancing the district. Because we cannot continue to do what we're doing. What we've been doing has not been working. And now, given the fact, the imminent fact that we have school vouchers that will be passing, most likely in the state legislature, we are going to be even more further challenged. We need leadership on the board that is going to work together and that is going to do the hard thing for the kids. We need leadership to stand up for our children. So that is why I'm running, and I think the biggest thing is we need to look at our overhead expenses to see where we can cut that, because we don't want to be cutting programs or affecting teachers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and we want to move on to Rick Garcia. The second question is going to be, you heard that President Trump has signed an executive order for school choice and school vouchers. I would like to ask you as what is the status of state of Texas with reference to school vouchers? And what are the pros and cons of school vouchers from a school perspective, board perspective, and from a student's perspective? And how would you incorporate this if you're elected as a board member?
So in terms of school choice and school vouchers, we know that vouchers is gonna be a challenge for this district. We're advocating for more funding for the schools so that we can have what we need. We're underfunded in special education, that is true. We're underfunded in other areas. State hasn't seen an increase in basic allotments since 2019, so it was at 6160. It's been like that for years, and we had to go out for a tax rate election a couple of years ago to give teachers a raise, but also at every elementary school, and also to get out of a very dire situation with the TEA with special education. We're in danger of takeover by the TEA. So we're able to do in the last 4 years. Dr. Smith came in and was able to do it under 5 or 6 months. So incredible job. Talk about leadership. I think we have leadership. We have leadership. We've been making a lot of really hard choices. We hired Dr. Smith. We have some situations with the bond. We pass a balanced budget every year. We make hard choices. We do make hard choices. We have made hard choices. We've had to eliminate elementary school 55 from the bond because of missteps by the former administration. That's a fact. I was on the bond, the chairman of the bond, of the audit committee, and we had to order an investigation of that. So one way to hold the administration accountable is by having an audit program, which is what we were having a hard time doing, auditing. Former administration kept pushing back on doing audits. Well, now we don't have that problem. We're doing a curriculum audit. We had to audit the bonds. We're auditing special education. We're doing all these things right now to get back on track, and we're moving in the right direction. So I disagree that we don't have leadership. We have very, very good leadership. We're moving in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're going to move on to Angela Collins, and this question is regarding federal funding. As we know, the Department of Education is being cut in many directions. Fort Wayne School District receives close to $20 million from the federal funds. And how would you address this shortfall if this were to be implemented?
So. Hello? Yeah. Okay, sorry. So that is a big question. Addressing it from federal to local is kind of difficult. We will have to press the state for more funding, of course. My fear with the vouchers and all of that is because special education is still underfunded, and a lot of the special education funds come from federal, that we are going to be even further behind in funding for special education. So we are going to have to advocate to the state in receiving more funding, because asking the taxpayers to continue taxes, that's not really fair. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you so much. We want to move on to Angie. We're speaking, is that right? Okay, so let's talk about legislative advocacy. What role do you believe the school board and parents should play in advocating for legislative changes that could positively impact the district funding, school curriculum, and how would you engage with the state lawmakers?
Thank you for that question, and it's a crucial question right now. As I think a couple people have mentioned already, the individual allotment is at 6160. It has been that way since 2019. Although inflation is, as we all know, about 20%, right? So we need to be, as a school district, as the trustee, that fully funding that special education. Additionally, we need to make sure that we're advocating for traditional public ISDs, not charter schools. As trustee should be a strong traditional public education advocate. And as a trustee, I would encourage parents and be proactive in letting them know the bills that are out there in every 2 years. I know it's hard in Texas, it's every 2 years. But I would make sure that parents are fully informed. Of course, they need to vote the way they want to vote and advocate the way they want to, but as a trustee, you're advocating for public education.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and we will move on to Alison Drew. And the question is regarding waste, fraud, and abuse. This has been a hot topic nationally, and it applies also to Portland School District, which has a budget of $825 million. And we would like to know what measures would you take to identify waste, fraud, and abuse, and so that every check that is written is going to the right person for the right reason.
Sure, thank you for that. Yeah, one of the ways to definitely to keep a handle on waste, fraud, and abuse would be what we mentioned, audits. Audits are very important, carrying out audits systematically, ensuring that we are actually have a plan to carry out audits. If we have also having a plan for spending, having an oversight committee for that spending. And primarily, having people that understand what we are spending, part of the board's role, one of the first things you do as a board member when you get onto the board is that we approve the budget. You need to have somebody that is in there that understands where we're getting our funding from, what audits are in place, what the plan is, what oversight committees we have for spending.
Thank you so much. We want to go on to the next question to Cheryl Buford. This is about financial planning. Every time the board has a budget and we spend a lot of weeks to come up with a budget, and every time it has been falling short of the budget. So how would you ensure that the planning for the budget for the next year, if you're elected, would be such that it not only meets today's requirements, but also there is buffer money saved for new projects, new developments, and new innovations that are emergencies that may come across?
Yes, thank you for that question. So we have to maintain a 90-day fund balance that is required by law. So that gives us a buffer, so we're not going to run short. But what you are getting at, if I understand the question correctly, is long-range planning. And that is very important. Over the last 10 years, our district has grown by 10%, the student population 10%, but the employment is 25%. So we can begin by looking at our employees. What are they doing? What is the function that they're serving? And is that the best use of our funds? Only 48.2% of the district employees are teachers. And if you add their aides, then that brings it up to like 58, 59%. So there are a lot of employees in our district besides, parents and teachers. We also need to set priorities and, fund accordingly. And I also want to address a question that came up earlier. We are leaving money on the table because the state provides incentives for meeting certain metrics. For example, only 60% of our graduates. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now we're going to move on to the second chapter, that is teachers. Disha Shah will be asking the question. It's going to start off with Rick Garcia.
You can follow up for 30 seconds, yes.
So trustee Garcia just said that they voted to eliminate the S-55, well, he voted for it, by the way, I just want to make sure that it's on public record. So yes, we have to do the hard things, which is, making sure that we rebalance, and before we build anything new, that we rebalance. And as well, for over a year, we did not have a long range planner in place, we just got that planner last year.
Thank you so much. I would like to request everyone to please silence their cell phones. It can be disturbing for the candidates if they are answering questions. So please, as a public service announcement, thank you so much. Okay, we're going to move on to our next topic, which is going to be on teachers. We all agree that children are the foundation of tomorrow's America, and good teachers are going to be the backbone of that foundation. So our questions are going to be pertaining to teachers. So my first question to Trustee Rick Garcia, how would you ensure that the curriculum in Fort Bend ISD remains relevant and aligned with modern educational standards? And what role would teachers play in this process?
I think teachers play a critical role in this process. So we're doing currently a literacy curriculum audit, which is something we haven't done in a while. Audit is very important for us to hold administration accountable. If things get introduced that is new, that is just new, we don't know what it is. We have to understand, we have to study it, we have to get input. It's very, in my opinion, dangerous to just bring in something brand new and we're just gonna roll it out and see what happens. Because the last thing we want to be is a guinea pig for something brand new, especially as a district as large as us, district as diverse as ours. We do have roundtables with teachers. We have discussions with teachers. Dr. Smith meets regularly with teachers. He has campus meetings with all the administration, all the principals, some of the different feeder patterns. He has feeder pattern meetings weekly, regularly to see what we're doing. It's not a one size fits all solution. And so we have to make sure that we are ahead of the game. We're doing what's best for children. We're also looking at what works best in certain schools and trying to replicate it in schools where we're not performing so well. So those are some things we're doing. Also things like vertical alignment. I brought that up. I brought this up before. So what are we doing to get students ready for the next, from elementary to middle school? So I know that there's some schools that do it, some schools that don't, but how can we be more consistent, making sure that sixth grade teachers are talking to fifth grade teachers, we expect them to come into fifth grade or sixth grade. Same thing for ninth grade, talking to eighth grade teachers is what we expect, is what these students need to know, need to understand. So thinking outside the box, being more innovative and incorporating all the feedback, staff surveys from teachers. So thank you.
Thank you so much. As we move on, the next question will be for Angela Collins. What measures would you propose to balance the need for accountability with the potential negative impacts of excessive testing on student learning and teacher workload?
So, they have a lot on their plates. Teachers have a lot on their plates with, administrative work. That needs to be, there are some things that need to be taken off their plate. There are some things that need to be taken off their plate, as far as all the fluff work, all the administrative work. Now, some of it cannot be, it's documentation or files and things like that, but they have a lot to do. Most teachers that I know, they don't have a great work-life balance. because they're constantly doing work at home or on the weekends. So I think having regular meetings with the teachers, asking them where they're at, making them feel like their words are being heard and are important, would improve accountability for the district and for the teachers. There's so many. I asked a couple of teachers, you know, they get these questionnaires, and I asked them, do you fill them out honestly? And they said no, because they feel like they will be retaliated against. So I think there needs to be more of an open line of communication to improve accountability. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next question to Angie Beasley. How will you ensure that professional learning opportunities are tailored to meet the diverse needs of teachers, to improve their professional skills, and how would you measure their effectiveness?
All right. Professional development is, I believe, the second best way to recruit and retain teachers. Of course, the first one is salaries. But we need to ensure that teachers are receiving the professional development they need, not just by bringing an outside source, one person that goes and gets trained and to train X number of teachers, but letting professional teachers go out into the conferences and the other educational opportunities they have to actually get trained firsthand. Training the trainer is great, it is cost effective, but we need to make sure that teachers are respected and given the autonomy to learn and grow in the classroom to fit the diverse needs of our students. So in the second part of your question was?
How will you measure their effectiveness?
Okay, so and that's just one slice of trying to ensure that the teachers are getting, and staff, paraprofessionals need additional training, special ed teachers need additional training to grow them and to make sure that they feel invested in, because if they don't have enough pay, at least if they have a professional development, they'll feel more invested in staying in our district. As far as measuring their success, I think we have we've had a lot of turnover in admin, but it seems like we have a great instruction and learning curriculum. What is it that I know Dr. Jordan is in Dr. Adam, not Adam, but that department is doing a lot of hard work right now, and I know that they are bringing measures to the board so that we can provide evaluations and listen to them.
Thank you so much. Next question for Allison Drew. How will you ensure that all students, regardless of their background or zip code, have access to high-quality educational opportunities and resources?
Well, that's a great question. Thank you for that question. So one of the things that I actually do is, I'm a reading buddy. I do all sorts of things within community to support underprivileged kids. As an ISD, some of the things that we could do to ensure that we have high quality education is really come up with some innovative programs. Really be looking to add programs. While I was on the board, we added things like early literacy, early childhood, early college, high school, piano tech program. While I was on the board, we were writing our own curriculum, and I was on the board through that pandemic. We wrote asynchronous curriculum. We have a synchronous curriculum. We could be using that to offer programs and courses at different schools where we don't have the staff. So we might be able to get innovative with things like that. There are so many things that we can actually do to grow and support our students' different pathways. Not all of our students will go directly to college. Creating those pathways and creating those avenues for them to go into careers. I mentioned the piano tech program. That's one that's near and dear to my heart. And that program, a student can, once they complete it within high school, it is estimated that they'll make upwards of $60,000 a year. That's a great thing that have right out of high school. It is a program that we do in coordination with University of Houston. So they can go on to earn a further degree in piano tech and make $120,000 a year. So it's not bad. Things like that, I think, are great things for us to look at.
Thank you so much. At this time, I also would like to recognize Judge Surendran Patel from Fort Bend County 240th District, who is here, and Monica Riley, who is the councilwoman from Missouri City. Thank you for being here. And thank you for your service. Next question is for Cheryl Buford. What is your opinion regarding the teacher performance evaluation system? Is it fair, constructive, and supportive of teacher growth and student outcomes?
Well, thank you for that question. The teacher evaluation is useful in terms of giving teachers feedback with regular visits from the administration. And what we don't know is whether the extent to which the teachers have input. I want to make sure that that teachers have the opportunity to chart their own professional development. And so that we have master teachers, we have teacher coaches, and that they then can help the younger teachers as well. So going back, I would like to add to some of the questions that were already asked. One was about how do we make sure all students in our district get a quality education, that they can meet their potential. And one of the projects that I've been directly involved with, as I mentioned, I tutor at Blue Ridge Briargate, but recently the board passed 7-0 to have a memorandum of understanding with the Willow Ridge Willow Ridge Peter Pan. I'll get it now. And that is a game changer. It allows the community a seat at the table with the senior administration. It's holding the senior administration accountable for benchmarks. The community is involved, recruiting tutors, so that it's a village that is going to support the Willow Ridge Feeder Pattern.
Thank you so much. Yes, you can do a rebound. Yes.
So regarding the elementary school 55, I voted against it. The reason why I voted against it because we promised the community on a bond that we're going to build the school. So what happens when we get into a situation where there's a huge budget deficit at the hands of the former administration for planning, we had to make some tough decisions. That was one of them. I voted for other hard decisions, cuts in that same bond. We had to cut out many bid packages. I've been on the board. We have cut over $50 million from the budget because we had a budget shortfall when we first got on the board. So it's not like we're making tough decisions. We're making lots of tough decisions. But one thing that you can't do is break a promise to somebody when they're on the ballot. You can promise to school. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next question for Akshi Charanya. How would you encourage innovation in teaching methods and technologies within FBISD? And what resources would you allocate to support these initiatives?
So I think that's a really good question because I think first of all, we have to be innovative. We have to allow teachers the latitude to go ahead and develop their curriculum, to go ahead and propose different, technological improvements that they want. For example, I think there was a question on the teacher evaluation, right? Obviously that the teacher evaluation is there in place because the administration believes that it's working for them. I would flip that and say, let the teachers go ahead and look at that evaluation and provide feedback as to what would they like to be evaluated on. Are there additional questions that they want to put in and that they feel that are important to them, to their growth, and that should be added in. So I think we have to be very innovative and allow teachers to have more of a say in what the administration is putting out. That is what I would support. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we are going to now move on to our next topic, which will be done by Dr.
Thank you so much. And school safety. School safety is on every parent's mind. They're concerned about their mental, physical, and emotional well-being of each candidate student. Give a question.
No, I think it goes to Angela. It goes on.
Okay, Angela will be the first person to answer the first question. And in light of, many school shootings we have heard over several years, what particular steps would you implement in the Fort Wayne School District to proactively identify, hopefully, some of these candidates and provide some security for the children coming to the Fort Wayne School?
Can you repeat the question? There was so much
Oh,
going on. I just want to make sure.
Okay, in light of some of these school shootings, what particular steps would you implement in Fort Wayne School District to proactively maybe identify some of these cases, or how do you deal with if there is a issue of safety in the schools?
I'm gonna stay seated, I'm more comfortable. I feel like we need to have cameras, more cameras inside and out of the school, the outside of the schools. So I know there are cameras, within the hallways and the special education classrooms, but I think they need to be in every classroom, every area, aside from the bathroom. Because if we can identify somebody that is not normally coming to the school or anything like that, we may be able to catch it faster. Now, I know that we have good security programs in place within the district with security on campus, things like that. So, my biggest thing would be having more surveillance. There has to be more surveillance. The security officers can't just sit at the front, they need to walk around and make sure that doors are closed and things like that. Just to make sure,
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We want to move on to Angie Wirsbecki, and this is about bullying. Bullying is an important concern in schools. It can be in the form of physical, verbal, emotional intimidation, or on social media. How would you proactively recognize such behaviors and take necessary steps to prevent anything happening like this in the Fort Wayne School District?
Well, I think a lot of it starts with our mental health in our schools. Bullies, kids who are, you've heard the saying, hurt kids, or hurt people, hurt people. So those bullies tend to come from homes that they need more support emotionally, and maybe other ways as well. And so in the mental health crisis that we are dealing with, is part of that for bullying in our school district and across the nation. I think we need to continue to focus on the whole child initiative that Fort Wayne ISD has, and continue to make sure kids in the district are being taken care of, whether it's through the economics, through its, the traditional free lunch and free breakfast, but also with access to resources for counselors. We have a VOCA grant that provides additional counseling services in the school district, and because there can't be enough counselors paid by the school district for every kid. So right now, we contract with different nonprofits or agencies, I should say, that provide services in the school. So that's, I think, a huge way to ensure that the kids get the help they need so that they do less bullying. In the day of social media, my kids are in elementary school, so it hasn't quite gotten to be that issue yet, but it's coming. And we need to make sure that we're providing them the confidence and the resources that they need.
Thank you so much. The next question is to Alison and Drew. This is about technology and cybersecurity. What increased reliance on technology, with increased reliance on technology, how would you address cybersecurity concerns to protect the students from becoming victims of exploitation and protect at the same time protect vital data.
Just a clarifying question for your question. So you're saying that we're protecting their data, school data, or a little bit, the cybersecurity on their school laptops, is that what you're?
Yes, protecting the school data, at the same time, protecting the students also from cyber exploitation.
Sure, sure. We actually, at FBISD, we do have a very good technology department. They do have things in place, their firewalls, all sorts of systems in place to prevent those types of things. On the school delivered devices. Now, of course, all students are quite innovative, so they usually can find ways to do things that might not be in their best interest on the internet. So it is in keeping vigilant there. I know that our technology department searches the dark web, they do all sorts of things unbeknownst to us to ensure that if things are being done on a school device, that they're aware of it. While I was on the board, we had a program, so the see something, say something program, an app that we could have other kids, the students actually are our best information sources. So things like that, implementing things that protect vital information, ensuring that information is only given out when necessary, so minimizing the amount of information that we give out, and less hands touching the information. That also helps with data protection and breach.
Thank you very much, and we would like to move on to Cheryl Buford. Here's a question, how would you protect kids from becoming victims of trafficking?
That's a very important question. So it goes along with the data security, and part of that, I think, will be alleviated by banning the cell phones in the schools, because that is a way where students are recruited is via their cell phones. And so by having those cell phone bans in place, that can be a significant preventive measure. So otherwise, educating students to be aware of dangers, because certainly we all know that teenagers especially have lots of angst. And so if someone is flattering them, buttering them up, they become increasingly vulnerable. So educating them so that we can proactively prevent students from being victims of trafficking is also important. We do have a lot of safeguards in place to keep intruders out, but also bullying, as was mentioned earlier, continues to be a problem. The last time a survey was done, 53% of parents said that they had confidence that discipline problems were handled fairly. And so we need to make sure that we are handling discipline within the school. If the trafficking is coming via other students, we need to make sure that we nip that in the bud, that we are very vigilant about that.
We'll come to you. Okay, we're going to move on to the next person, which will be Afshin Charania, and this is a question about how, as a board member, you envision dealing with crisis management of other natures like natural disasters, things like that, the ones which you have currently had.
Sure, thank you. What I would do is, obviously, I'm sure the district, if they don't already have this in place, I would make sure that there's a team in place that actually deals with crisis management and that deals with communicating when these crises happen, as and when they're happening. I think the most crucial thing, other than the planning piece of it, of what happens in a crisis, the next most crucial thing as parents and as stakeholders in the district, whether it's the faculty, or the teachers, or the students, is clear communication to them as and when the crisis is happening. Because when a crisis happens, we are in an angst mode, we are in a panic mode, because our kids are in school or are supposed to be in school. So I think it's very, very important that the lines of communication are clear and they're timely. And I know FBISD's done a good job with the communication that they're already doing, with the various different platforms that they're using as well. But I do think what is crucial is the timeliness of that information and the ongoing communication with the parents as things are unfolding. I just realized when I sat down that I didn't address the second part of the question that was asked earlier about what technology would I recommend.
On the topic of the school safety is going to be to Rick Garcia. When we started off, I said we are talking about mental, physical, and emotional well-being of students. This question concerns the balance of work for the students. How do you ensure that the balance between academic focus and extracurricular activities concerning concerns about students being overcommitted in certain schools and in some underprivileged schools, they don't even have any opportunities such that.
So I always talk about equity, making sure that every child has every opportunity to succeed. Everybody has opportunity to play sports, everybody has an opportunity to go into clubs, every student has an opportunity to get involved in things like Destination Imagination, Scouts. And so we have communities, we have an organization called Collaborative Communities that we, district has really partnered with organizations outside of just the schools. So we're talking about faith-based organizations like Big Brother, Big Sister, literacy organizations, financial literacy organizations. They want to come in, they want to partner with FBISD, and most times at no cost to come in and volunteer to work with our students, in areas where maybe some of the schools don't have what other schools have. And a lot of it is parent involvement. A lot of parents are busy, they're working full-time jobs, so they don't have the ability to get in. So that's where we work with mentors. We have FBISD mentorship programs, or point mentorships to come in. The other big thing is, as I advocated along with Ms. Buford for the Willow Ridge MOU, memorandum of understanding, we're partnering with the community on having engagement with the community, let the community get more involved and more active, have more active role in the education and extracurriculars with students. And those are things that we can do, that we continue to do with FBISD. And anytime somebody comes to me, there's so many people want to help and volunteer and work with our kids. We have no problem with doing that. We just need to go through the proper channels. We can get them in touch with collaborative communities and we can put them in front of the right opportunities. And I think that is what they say, it takes a village to raise a child. That's the epitome of that. That's what I think we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You have a. Okay, sure.
There was a question asked about trafficking. And so I just wanted to answer that as well. I served on the Children's Advocacy Center Advisory Committee. I was a member. And one of the things that I had initiated, because after looking at different programs we had, was to work with the school districts to educate the faculty, the administration on how we could actually work on addressing trafficking. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to finish that project because I had a parent who'd been sick, passed away that year. But I'm hoping to go back. But that is one of the things that we that the CAC Advisory Committee already done with the law enforcement, and we were looking to implement that with the school districts.
Thank you so much. We're going to move on to the fourth main topic, parents. Parents or especially the mothers or the chief operating officers of the children's health, education, and welfare. So I will turn this over to Disha to talk about parents and for school district.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nikam. So we're gonna make a little shift. We are exactly midway through. We've finished 3 topics. We are on the topic of parents. So this next question that I'm going to ask is for everyone, and I need each one of you to answer that question because we have received multiple questions from parents regarding this topic. So we want to address this and they would like to know the opinions of every candidate. So that's why we are shifting a little bit just for this one question, because we are midway through. So parents play a very big role into their kids' education. So this question is regarding the Blue Bonnet ELA K-5 curriculum. The Hindu community is concerned about the curriculum, not only because the curriculum overly emphasizes Christian stories and texts, but also because the curriculum almost completely erases Hinduism. Hindu stories and poems are not identified as Hindu, and one lesson plan even goes as far as to call a Hindu story a fairy tale. The question is, would you vote to adopt the Blue Bonnet curriculum? Yes or no? And please explain your answer. This is not about the vote occurring on Monday to purchase a sample set of the curriculum for review. Each one of you will have 1 minute to respond. So I repeat, the question is, would you vote to adopt Blue Bonnet curriculum? Yes or no? And please explain your answer. Thank you.
And just for the timing, I'll give you a 30-second heads up and then the 1 minute.
Did you want me to go first or did you want to go down?
You can go first. Everybody's going to answer this question.
Sure. The concern that I think the community has about the Blue Bonnet curriculum is not just a concern only for the Hindu community, but the Hindu, like for Hindu, like for the faith. It is a concern of every single community out there, whether you're Muslim, whether you're, like you're Jewish, whether you're Buddhist, even if you're Christian, because I think we heard that on the comments last week, on the pulpit comments, right? It was actually more, folks from the Christian background who spoke than non. And so it's a concern, and I would vote absolutely no, like for the Blue Bonnet curriculum.
Thank you so much.
So I'm on the board. I can't answer yes or no yet because we have it on the agenda for tomorrow. So I will give you. Well, we have the discussion on Blue Bonnet, so I can't answer that particular question.
That question's not on the agenda, you should have to answer. It's a top of that.
It's, let the candidates.
So
We'll give you the time to answer. Yes.
what I will say is, I think it's very, and I said this earlier, I think it's very dangerous to introduce curriculum, especially curriculum that's very controversial, that the community does not want. I think it's very dangerous to do that without properly evaluating and vetting it and understanding what it is. I think that's what we're intending to do. And so I am totally in favor of transparency. I'm totally in favor of letting the community understand what it is, let the teachers understand it is, what staff understand it is, and then we come back to make a decision. It's not right for us. It's not right for us. That is a decision I fully support. If it's not right, we need to find something that's right for our kids. I don't want our kids to be the guinea pig of something brand new. And I'll leave it at that. And then I will have comments on Monday. I'll make my position even more clear. So please feel free to tune into the meeting on Monday. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Angela Collins next.
So as a Christian, I myself have questions about it. I have directly went to teachers and other parents, and they have concerns as well. Not just because it is a Bible curriculum or whatever it's being presented as, but we all have different religions and we have to be respectful of that. And I don't have a complete understanding of the Hindu religion and some other religions. And you may not have a complete understanding of Christianity. So when you have educators teaching things that they are unsure about, I don't think it's fair. It doesn't serve the community as a whole. So as of right now, without having more knowledge in the curriculum, the details, the study. I appreciate Fort Bend doing the study. As of right this moment, I would say no.
Thank you. And FBISD?
Well, I should have just brought my speech from speaking at the board meeting on Monday night. But, I would vote against it. Appreciative of the staff doing the research, but I would vote against it. The US religious, census says that 50% of Fort Bend residents do not go to a house of worship in Fort Bend. So, and maybe some of them do go to Houston, but that's a sizable amount of folks who don't prescribe to going to a house of worship, whether they believe in the religion or not. As we all know, we are the most diverse county probably in America. So besides the other things that have been talked about, it's possibly subpar curriculum, it actually will cost us. I mean, as well as even though the state is telling us it's going to give us money, it's gonna cost us more because of the printing. We must respect this community's diversity and provide inclusive resources to the community through curriculum as well as everything else we're doing in our school district. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Allison Drew?
I am not in favor of the Bluebonnet curriculum. In addition to all the things that it does, the inaccuracies with religion, they soften some of the hard historical facts of this nation. I question its rigor. I mean, I question its rigor. I think that we fail our students if we do not make them globally competitive by removing things, by taking religion out, by not representing our diverse cultural communities. You are failing our students with Bluebonnet curriculum. I think that they should have all the information in order to compete globally.
Thank you. Cheryl Buford?
Well, with what I know now, I would vote against adopting the Bluebonnet curriculum. As Dr. Jordan showed, she had 2 large binders. She said that is for 17 days of first grade. So I'm not sure how many people here among the candidates or in the audience actually know all of what is in the Bluebonnet curriculum. So that's why I say, as of today, I would vote no. I am glad that the district is going to do an exhaustive study, and I will look forward to hearing what they come up with. We have a problem in Fort Bend ISD. Only 44% of our 4th graders are on grade level in reading, and only 52% of our 4th graders are on grade level in math. So I'm glad the district is going to do a curriculum audit. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now we're going to go back to the regular way we were doing the forum. So the first question is for Angie Biersvicki. How will you ensure parents' voices are heard and considered in curriculum decisions for students while balancing the need for professional educational expertise?
Well, of course, I'm going to defer to the experts, but besides the teachers, of course, we need to take into account our parents. As a parent, a current parent in the district with 2 kids in elementary school, I would be delighted to be asked to serve on a committee or to do a survey for any curriculum decisions. Now, whether I have an education background or not, I care about what my kids are learning. And I care about what 79,000 other kids are learning too. So I think number one, we need to go to the parents, make sure that we are proactive and ask them to do surveys, be involved in committees or focus groups, and really go to them and work with each feeder pattern in school differently, because I know where I live, we have a lot of working moms. And our PTO is not as strong as it could be because those moms are working during the day compared to a lot more affluent schools. So we need to make sure that we are working with the parents in the way they need to be communicated with. And maybe that means text and not asking to print out things. We need to make sure we're communicating with them in the way they need to. Of course, with that balance of going back to the experts, the teachers, and the administrative staff. Now, the board sets policy and vision, but those are our experts, and we need to trust them, but verify as well. Was that my 30 seconds?
30 seconds.
Oh, okay. We need to make sure we're balancing, the teachers and the parents and the students ultimately are what matter in this district. We need to shield them from the political bias that's happening across our country and in our state, and ensure that we are focusing on them, number one. And if we have issues with the, we need to make sure we're listening first, listening. I've lived in 30 different cities. I know how to listen because I know what it means to be involved with new people.
Thank you so much. Next question for Alison Drew. How would you approach the issue of book challenges in school libraries and balancing parental concerns with students' access to diverse literature?
Thank you. Yeah, well, I think currently that we are able to have parents, if they are concerned about a particular book, to say, hey, don't want that, don't want my child to check that out. I think that this is something that, it's a topic that's really hard and near and dear to me, because I think that, as a reading buddy, I think that that is like the first place in which a child sort of starts to be able to see this world. So I think that we already have a committee that audits our books, or we, at least while I was on school board, we did. And so we really need to be working with our communities. One of the things that I did while I was on the board was kind of reach out to communities. We had people on the executive team that would reach out to communities and really hear and listen and get feedback from what parents were saying and what they were wanting for their children. Some of these, I think that we just need to have those hard conversations as a community to understand what we want for our kids. I think Fort Bend is one of the communities that is so culturally diverse that there's no one answer to what one parent thinks of as an appropriate book and another parent thinks of as an appropriate book. I think that what we need to do is just to really work together as a community to formulate a plan and come up with ways in which to resolve any issues that we might have with books. And definitely giving parental control over what their students are checking in the libraries.
Thank you. Yes, you have 30 seconds.
Well, the instructional materials policy that was passed, I think in the last several months, I think is a good start. I know that the Indian American community cares deeply that your children aren't exposed to sexually exploitive materials. That's very important to you. And the way that the instructional materials policy that was passed, it gives the authority to the, that time?
Yes, thank you so much. The next question is for you, Cheryl Buford. How will you ensure that the curriculum reflects the diverse cultural backgrounds of FBISD students while addressing potential concerns about cultural sensitivity?
Right. Well, thank you for that question. Right now, there is a time period at the beginning of the year when parents can go in and review materials. That's important that we maintain that, but it's important that we publicize that parents know that that option is out there for them to review the materials. And we need to err on the side of being careful so that we are sensitive. Just like your concerns about the Bluebonnet curriculum, I'm sure there are many other topics that the Indian American community, South Asian community is concerned about as well. And I want you to have your input, as well with that. So relatedly, this isn't about books in particular, but I have talked to a number of special education parents who have told me every time I ask for services, it's a fight. And certainly in evaluating special education, the same benchmarks for regular students may not apply, but I would like to have parent feedback surveys, especially for special education parents, so that we establish those benchmarks and their voices are heard more effectively.
Thank you so much. Next question for Ashitaranya. What is your stance on allowing parents to opt their children out of specific lessons or materials they find objectionable, and how would you implement such policies?
So I know that the state is paying the school districts on attendance, and I don't know how that impacts, like the money that the school district will get paid if students are opting out. So I think that would be my first question, like to look into that, right? Outside of that, I mean, I do believe in parents having a choice, but I do think that it needs to be within a box. It cannot just be infinite choices that we can provide parents. So it really depends on what topics or subjects or which part of the curriculum they've been looking to opt, let their child out from. But beyond that, I would actually want to understand why are parents wanting to opt out of certain topics or curriculum, and how can we maybe look at that curriculum and make it work for those parents, not just those parents, but really all the parents across Corbin ISD. Because if one parent has an issue with something, I'm sure there's many more parents who do as well, right? So we need to take a bit of more of a innovative approach to that versus just saying yay or nay. I think I'd want to look into it more deeper.
Thank you so much. The next question for Rick Garcia. With the increasing use of technology in education, how would you address parental concerns about online content and access to digital literacy?
So we're talking about the one-to-one device initiative that NIC put out as part of the bond. Every student in secondary, middle school, and high school, they get a laptop, they get a device. So these laptops are very highly locked down, with no admin privileges on them, they have all these filters on them, but the problem is that they have access to some of the games that are on there, like the math games, and so sometimes they'll have extra tabs popped up. And so they're looking at other ways to make sure that we can better monitor and track what the kids are doing, make sure that when we're doing something that doesn't have the need for a laptop, they're putting the screens down. The teachers are moving around, walking around, seeing what the students are doing. And so the technology is a blessing, it's also a curse, right? And so the phone problem, that's a huge problem. And it all got worse after COVID, there's no doubt about that. And so what are we doing as a community to help manage that? I know a lot of middle schools have no cell phone policy. I know there's a couple of middle schools that are a little bit more lax. Most high schools are a little lax on it. And so we're tightening up the policy for cell phones. We're doing that, but we're also giving it to the discretion of what works best for the individual campus. So like for instance, Bowie, no cell phones. Can't use your cell phone. Okay. Other middle schools, you can't use them during class at all, maybe during passing period, maybe during lunch. So eliminating the distractions is help with discipline, it's help with people actually looking at each other and having conversations like normal people do. And so these are the types of things we can do, just even a little bit. So those are some of the things that we're doing and working on. We always make it improve. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Our last question for this section goes to Angela Collins. How would you handle the teaching of potentially controversial topics in history or science classes, considering diverse community perspectives?
So when I was in school and there were topics or any kind of assignment, the teacher, the parents were allowed to write a note, hey, my child is not going to participate in this activity, and we would have to go sit at the library or wherever during that lesson. I think sometimes just taking it back to the basics of just general common sense and respect for each other works. So if I have a friend that is a nurse, and she did not want her children being in the talk in fourth grade. She wanted to have that discussion with her children. So they went to the library during that discussion. So I just think general respect between the district and the parents works harmoniously.
Thank you so much. At this time, we will be moving on to our next topic. But I will take a moment to recognize Sapna Patel, who is candidate for City of Sugar Land Council District 4.
It's holy.
Want to be seen on the finger.
Okay, we're going to start off the next section on mental health. It's going to be starting off with Alison Drew. Mental health is a major issue, and it's important to understand that teenagers between the ages of 15 and 19 are at a high risk for anxiety, depression, and even suicidal tendencies. Keeping those things in mind and also the external things that they are exposed to in terms of drugs and other types of challenges, how would you prioritize and allocate resources for mental health services, given that 86% of the school board members nationwide are very concerned about the students' mental well-being?
Absolutely, great question. So as I've said, my second career is as a psychiatric nurse. So mental health is very near and dear to my soul. Something that I work in. I work with a lot of students that are going through some things. So one of the things that while I was on board Shack Committee was a committee that I worked really close with. Really focused on the whole student, providing mental health services. We opened 8 centers for mental health. And these consultations, they were free. They were free for the whole family. Because oftentimes when you have a mental health issue, it's not just a child. It's something that's happening in the entire household. So having opportunities for that. A lot of what I actually work with an organization that focuses on teen suicide. And basically they empower children. The students themselves meet, they talk with one another, they find ways of sharing, when you said this hurt. And it really has helped to reduce bullying and so on in schools. Mental health is just something that we need to attack from all areas. Our teachers, they're stressed, there's a lot going on. Our resource officers have to be trained in de-escalation. There are so many things that we can do to really focus on our students' mental health and work as an entire community.
We're going to move on to Sharon Buford, and this is about expanding the district of FBISD's mental health support in terms of recognizing the early signs of the things that I talked about, anxiety, depression, or suicidal tendencies, before they come into reality.
Right. Well, we absolutely need to make sure that our teachers are trained to look for signs of depression, mental health, and issues, anxiety, so that we can head that off at the pass. The more that the parents are involved early on is helpful. Certainly, especially with teenagers, they are trying to individuate and become their own person and separate from their parents. But they also need their parents. They need the support of their family, except in a very few cases where there is abuse, but that's the exception to the rule. For the most part, children, adolescents need their parents.
Thank you. So now we'll move on to Avshi Charaniam. And as you all know, that more than 150,000 fentanyl deaths have been reported in the last year, many of them with young adults. So what strategies would you implement in the Portman School District that we don't see these kinds of drugs available, not only fentanyl, but many other drugs that can seriously harm the children's life?
Sure, thank you. I would say we have to do more education in the schools with the children. I would say we need tell you, that is what the state is, that's their basic allotment. On top of that, anything else we get is because your child is gifted and talented, it's because your child has special needs, or it's because you're bilingual. There's I think 30 different types of reasons why you get an allotment. And it's all tied to that 6160 because it becomes a percentage of it, right? So until our state does not fully fund us, which it does not fully fund us because the entitlements, are decided by the state. And the state decides how much money we need to run our school district, which is not enough, unfortunately, right? So these numbers that get touted of 10,000 and 15,000, I think we should educate ourselves. And I actually went ahead and printed out documents. Don't believe me when I say that we're underfunded and all these nice things that we want to do in our, in our school district, we're unable to implement all these things because it's going to take budget cuts. We're going to have to cut, especially if the school vouchers pass, which the state has a $1 billion it's slated to pass. Well, in the next 4 years, it's gonna quadruple. And that's money taken away from our school district that's gonna walk out our door. Am I over time? Thank you.
Okay, the next question is to Rick Garcia. This is about what measures would you implement to ensure that the mental health services are accessible to all students across the school district, as nearly 50% of the Portman ISD families are in economically disadvantaged regions.
So education is definitely important. Working with counselors, making sure teachers understand and able to identify children that are struggling. Anyone that can say that you have a teenager, you have a child with a cell phone, you see they're struggling at home. Sometimes the student has a hard time, or the child has a hard time going to the parent, or going to talk to the teacher. We have a program, we have many programs, we have many partnerships, we have many different opportunities for students and parents to access mental health services. We're not in the business, we're in the business of educating children, but the harsh reality is mental health is a national crisis in a lot of respects. There's increase in school shootings. What can we do to be more mindful of these things? What can we do to keep students safe, not just from school shootings, but from each other, from themselves? Student suicide rates are up. Education is very, very important. Making sure that we are talking to them. You can see students that are having really great years, they're thriving, and then all of a sudden the bottom falls out. So what happens and how does this happen? It's happened too many times. It happened at my son's middle school last year. And so partnering with more mental health professionals, we have licensed counselors, but we also have outside help. Parents can come and they can ask, we need help. What can we do? We have access to mental health partners. We refer them to a partner and provider. Parent will come in, they can pick the provider, they can pick the therapist, and then they can get access to the services. They can even come to the school and they can have somebody talk to them. Other things, the mentorship program. I was a mentor years ago. I would come once a month, talk to students, see how they're doing. And those are some things we can do, we can continue to do. Thank you.
The next question is to Angela Collins. What measures would you propose to improve communication and collaboration among school board members, families, and community stakeholders in addressing the students' mental well-being?
I know that there's actually several resources, that I get, emails for little parent meetings or learnings or whatever. I get emails about them all the time, but I think we get so many emails from all the teachers, the administrators, the district, and they get lost in junk, or, you just miss them. There needs to be constant communication at the school level, whether it be a couple of board members go out to a feeder pattern and have a quarterly meeting, or once a year, something. We need more one-on-one communication, because we all get busy. We don't check our emails every day, or if we do, we may miss something. So I think there needs to be more intentional communication to get the programs out that we do have within Fort Bend. There was something somebody mentioned earlier, some kind of group or committee, and I didn't even know what happened. I think a lot of parents don't know what their options are. So communication, more intentional communication with the parents would be my answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We would like to move on to MD Becky. And how would you balance the need for mental health support in the school with the parents' right to healthcare decisions about their children?
Okay, so how would I balance the mental health? Repeat one more time.
How would you balance the need for mental health support in the schools with the parental right to their children's health care?
Well, first of all, parents are, for example, is mental health services provided to children in Fort Bend ISD if parent agrees. There's not going to be any services, professional services provided without the parents' express consent. That said, there are a lot of different ways that educators and counselors, trained counselors, can ensure that they're utilizing resources like the trust-based relational interventions that are piloted through for kids specifically through foster care, and other services that there can be trainings. But I don't think the number one thing for teachers to do is to know how to spot mental health care needs. We need to be aware at all levels, and in fact, make sure that we are ensuring our counselors have the resources they need. And for example, and I know we don't have the funding options, we don't have the funding to have a lot more counselors. But just last year, I stood up to make sure we didn't have chaplains who were not trained in our schools. That was coming down from the state, that they weren't chaplain providing that care. We need to make sure that there's trained counselors that are providing it, while also respecting the parents' decisions. They're not going to do it otherwise. Additionally, we need to make sure there's equitable resources in all the schools, and I don't mean equal, equitable, to ensure that those families get what they need. Thank you.
I think, next one is, Alison Drew. Did I ask you a question on this? Okay, so that concludes that segment, and we're gonna go on to the final segment of our questions. Let's hear. The most important element of this entire discussion is about students. So we want to conclude with the students because they are the most important priority elements in school board discussion. So I'll turn over to Disha Joshi.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nikam. So moving on with students and their perspective. First question goes to Cheryl Buford. Do you support programs of choice in Fort Bend ISD and explain why or why not?
One word. One word, absolutely. And this has been very effective in school districts across the country. And other school districts do a lot more with choice and expanded choice than we do here in Fort Bend ISD. What I was going to say in my opening remarks, but I went on too long, is that I spent a decade advocating for Thomas Jefferson High School of Science and Technology. That school is ranked 14th in the whole United States by US News and World Report. I work side by side with many Asian American parents, and the fight was to make sure that the standards remained rigorous and that the entrance was merit-based. So it was in Fairfax County, Virginia, where I was living at the time, we had a whole school devoted to STEM. And other districts do as well, even in Dallas, New York City. And so we do need to expand choice. And that will be a way that we keep more students in the district, even if vouchers pass. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next question for Afshi Charanya. What is your opinion on early college high school programs? And how do you plan to expand these programs?
I'm a huge proponent of early college programs. I think it's really, really important that our students have an opportunity to go ahead and take courses where they can decide if this is something that they want to do, post high school or post college, or continue it through college. I think it's really, really important. How would I do it? I hate to say it comes back to our basic issue of funding. We don't have the funding, so we're gonna have to cut somewhere to make this happen. And that is the huge dilemma that the school districts are in today. In my volunteer work, which I've been doing since I was 20, one of the things that I've done is working with families, specifically individuals, specifically generally women, and I work generally with women and, or single moms with kids. And we work to chart out a roadmap, which is anywhere between 5 to 15 years. And that is really to ensure that their child finishes high school and does go to college or some form of post-high school education, because the only way to work and then the only way to break the cycle of poverty and marginalization is through education, or it is to go ahead and talk to the female and say, become a second breadwinner. That's through certificate courses or vocational courses or to your, associate program. That's been my strength and forte. What I've been doing in the Fort Bend IC district, in the Fort Bend community for the last 25 plus years, and I'm really good at what I do too, and that. So.
Thank you. Next question for Rick Garcia. The 2017 AP brochure shows AP participation correlates with college success, but low-income students often lack access. How will you ensure equitable enrollment in advanced programs like AP and dual credit, particularly for underrepresented populations?
We've got a lot of programs right now in some of our underrepresented populations, Marshall, Little Ridge, Hightower, they all have P-Tech, they all have early college programs, which I fully support. We're talking about how to expand these things. It doesn't necessarily need funding. We need partnerships with HCC. We keep talking about cutting funding. We've done a lot of things in Fort Bend ISD over the last 3 years without cutting a single thing from the budget. That's absurd. So we can do things with partnerships with outside organizations, expanding our partnerships with HCC, expanding partnerships with Ward County Junior Colleges. We can do these things. We can bring in these other programs and we can add it to other high schools. It's an easy thing to do. We just need to do it. We hired a rock star deputy superintendent, Dr. Stevens. We're doing amazing things at CTE. We're talking about programs. We're adding all these new programs, not adding a single thing to the budget. We're able to figure it out. We're getting it done. Drone programs are coming. Aviation programs are coming. We've got esports coming. We're doing so good right now. We have cybersecurity is a new program that's coming, more STEM focused programs of choice. These are the things, we're going after the opportunities that kids want. We're not going after things that you're not gonna be able to do anything once you graduate. So like, underwater, there's no career, we're going right to AI industry. We're looking at AI programs coming up. So these are things that really excite me. I'm in the IT industry, honestly, I'm a little fired up about it. I'm really excited about it. And it's just amazing to see what's going on right now. We're talking about all these things that we need to do, we need to cut. We haven't had to cut anything, but we're able to work outside the box. And that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm running for re-election, to keep that momentum going. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question for Angela Collins. What is your knowledge about the different special programs available in Fort Bend ISD? And are there any programs that need improvement?
So I have a general knowledge of different programs, of course. One that specifically comes to mind right now is the STEM program. It is a great program, but it is not offered at every school. And that is something that I have been specifically asked about. Why the kids have to go to different schools to participate in that program. So I actually have a question for you. All of these programs that we're bringing into the district, are they going to be offered? Are they going to be available in every feeder pattern? Because we need them, right? They're innovative and they're growing, but if they're not offered at Willow Ridge or Bush High School and they're only offered at Clements or something like that, I feel like that's a little bit of classism and it doesn't need to be this way. It needs to be offered across the board.
The way we are doing this debate is there are no questions among the participants. It's more you answer the question that has been given to you, and if there is a rebuttal.
My thing is the programs need to be offered across the board, not just in certain areas.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Next question for Angie Biesbecki. How will you support the implementation of extracurricular opportunities for all students in the district?
Well, as a trustee, of course, we look at policies and budget oversight. And supporting the extracurricular activities across the district, I don't honestly know what's available at every school, but I'll tell you, there are after-school programs in elementary schools that are not available at every school, and enrichment programs that could benefit the most vulnerable. For example, and they're actually provided by third parties. They're not provided by the school district, so parents have to pay for them. And for example, at Quail Valley Elementary, there was an opportunity to have several of these enrichment programs, but because they're $150, $200 for the 2 to 3 months that they get to do them, they never make. But at Commonwealth, they sell out at day one. Why are we forcing this division and these classes discrepancies? We should make sure that we're providing equitable resources, equitable allocation across the district, whether it's elementary, middle, or high school. When you get to extracurricular activities that may provide transportation, then we need to start looking at transportation funding. And there are ways outside of the normal budget that we can look at. There are grants. I look at grants for a county, for Harris County. There are grants for transportation and other needs for school districts. There are partnerships that we can be utilizing. We have lots of nonprofits in this community. I think a few of us here know a lot of them. And there are ways that we can ensure that our kids are getting that extracurricular activities they need, whether they're provided by a FBISD or provided by a third party. We just need to make sure that we have 30 seconds or, that was it. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Next question for Allison Drew. Only 60% of Fort Bend ISD students meet career and college readiness standards. How will you address systemic barriers to hit the 90% goal by 2026?
Oh, wow. Okay, so I think actually someone mentioned it. I'm actually an experiment from New York. In New York, they decided, hey, we're gonna try and see if we pull urban kids together, whether we could get them skipped a grade, and then whether we could get them going on to what we call our gifted high schools. And my high school is a lowly 50 nationwide. I was in a program to do all of that, and I think that's our challenge. Those are the things that we're talking about here today. Some of the things that we're mentioning about having better programs or just adding programs to our CTE center, get just support for students from an early age. You know, when we're talking about early literacy, when we're talking about early college, all of these things, all these programs that we're implementing will help rise that number towards 90%. I think as we continue to think outside of the box, as we continue to bring on more innovative programs, as we continue to bring and partner with our communities and get into our communities and speak with our parents to make them aware of things. Somebody told me, when I left office, that I am the wife of our director of fine arts. I ran out of time on that one. What someone told me at a different forum was that, hey, I didn't know that you could get fine arts scholarships, and that there are large amounts of money that come from fine arts scholarships. So it's really going out and forming that community, having that communication with multiple ways.
Thank you so much. And now I will hand it over to Dr. McCum to give the final concluding remarks.
Okay, in the interest of time, we will conclude our section questions. I'm going to move on to the final segment, which will be your concluding statements, which will be for 60 seconds. And you just tell the audience why you think you are the most qualified candidate to be on the Fort Bend School District. We'll start off with Abshi Charania.
So for the timing, I'll just give you one bell every 60 seconds.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so public education, as we know, is under attack. Our district, along with the other districts, is in trouble. We're in uncharted waters. The state is going to be passing the largest school voucher program. We need to be innovative with the budget pressures that we have. We need to make hard decisions. We need someone who will take a hard look at schools that are over and under capacity. Yes, we made promises to different communities, but we made a promise to the entire district. This is not about one community. This is about the entire school district that we need to look at as a whole. We need leadership that will stand up for our students and our teachers and our faculty and our stakeholders. We need to focus on student wellness. We need to support our teachers and having transparent communication with the stakeholders. So there are some very difficult decisions that we're gonna have to make. So my name is Disha Sharanya. I am running against an incumbent for Board of Trustee, position 3 for Fort Bend ISD. I'm running for position 3, number 2 on the ballot, and number 1 for this position. So please come out and vote on April 22nd, early voting. Thank you.
So I'm Rick Garcia. I am the incumbent. I am the current board vice president, and I am up for re-election. I am the strongest candidate on the ballot. I'm the most experienced. I am also a member of Leadership TASB, which I am studying to be a master trustee, which I am learning to be a more effective leader, be better at governance, partnering with the superintendent. We've had challenges with the long-range planning in the past, which I would remind Ms. Gerania that a lot of her supporters came out to the meetings last year to advocate against us hiring that person because of challenges we had with previous rezoning, or some would say that a school that should not have been built. And those are your supporters. And so we did not hire that person. We went off, we hired somebody else. We do know that we have a long-range plan that needs to happen. It's going to happen. We're supposed to do it every 10 years. Prior administration didn't do it. They kept peddling, and then finally we had to make a change, and then a change, and now we have Dr. Smith. We have effective leadership, we have strong leadership. I'm effective, I'm a strong leader. I'm fighting for Dr. Smith, I'm fighting for Fort Bend ISD. I'm a former educator, my wife's a teacher, I have 2 kids in the district, and I love Fort Bend ISD. That's why I'm here. Hey, boys, that's not fair.
I have always lived my life as a servant leader. I have always focused my support on children and just them succeeding in life. I have opened my home to many children over the years, and I have maintained lasting relationships with them. I believe every child deserves supportive people around them to help them ensure their success. As a candidate for the school board, my primary goal is to ensure both parents and teachers and students feel safe and supported within the school. This balance is essential for fostering a successful environment. So I am not, I have not been on the board. I am a mom. I'm not a big public speaker, but it's in my heart. So, thank you.
I have lived in Fort Bend for 15 years. My kids are currently in Fort Bend. I have a pulse on the community in Fort Bend, whether it's within the school district, the individual schools, or the greater community at large, because of my experience and my collaboration with stakeholders across the district, not just in Fort Bend ISD. Fort Bend ISD works with a lot of partners. I know this community, and I will fight to make sure that our students and teachers are taken care of. I will make sure that we present the best, the strongest Fort Bend ISD and get our roots back to traditional public school and supporting that to make sure we have a strong community. I will make sure to shield our teachers and our staff from the political agendas that come in from the state and from our outside sources. We need to protect those kids and the teachers to make sure they have the future that we all want for our community. And I'll tell you, I'll show you a picture of my kids right now. I fought hard for my kids and I'll continue doing it for everybody else's.
Okay, y'all, this is a critical seat on the board. You will have a new board member in this seat. And quite frankly, the proof is in the pudding. I've been on the board, I'm experienced. I was also selected for leadership TASB and trained at the state level. We have a problem with funding. We need a board member that can lobby for us at the state level and move that needle. Let's see, budget, check, tech, check, psych, check, fine arts, check. I work every day with our students. I work with students that are facing issues surrounding suicide, social emotional issues, everything. When I'm not on the board, I'm still working. I'm a reading buddy. I'm working with underprivileged children. I'm here in this community, working consistently with our students.
You can count on me to be a bulldog advocating for students across the district, whether they're in the lowest performing schools or the highest or anywhere in between. Seeing all students reach their potential is my calling. You can count on me to hear you. So reach out, don't hesitate. You can count on me to build on my years of experiencing, researching effective policies and practices. You can count on me to thoroughly study issues and make thoughtful decisions. You can count on me to protect your children from sexually explicit books. You can count on me to be the grown-up in the room. I will treat everyone respectfully. And you can count on me not to defend friends or colleagues who engage in name calling. I ask for your vote. My name is Cheryl Buford, running for position 7. Thank you.
Thank you very much on behalf of Disha, along with Jigishi. We thank all the candidates and also the guests who have come to this program. At this time, we would like to invite Vinod to give the concluding remark.
Or we don't have to do so, you guys have to deal with it. We're gonna close in a couple of minutes, before we do that, may I have a big round of applause for all the candidates? Maybe smiling when I say that statement, so thank you, all of you, for doing this. It's not easy. I know you spend your time, money, and family time goes into it. So really, really appreciate it. We are lucky to have such wonderful candidates. Another round of applause, please, for our wonderful moderators. Thank you. One, Vinod mentioned it earlier, I want to make sure I repeat it. Disha USA is a non-profit organization. We do not endorse or go against any candidate, any party whatsoever. We're just here to provide a forum where you guys have the information. Second, most important part, if you all don't mind,